Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Genesis, the 38th chapter. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira. So he basically moved out, you could say, and went and stayed with Hira, who became his friend, in Adulamite. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name So he basically married her, popped her. She got pregnant and had a son, and his name was And let's see the meaning of that, which I believe in the Hebrew is Ira. Awake. Okay, awake. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. Let's take a look at that. Iwanan, strong. Okay. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chizib when she bare him. So that's where they were staying. And Judah took it. Well, let's actually look into that name for Shelah. Shelah, a petition, youngest son of Judah. Okay. So basically he has 3 sons by her. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, and the Lord slew him. So the Lord, had him basically slain by some means, right? Doesn't specify how, but anyway, he dies. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Now, that's actually in the law that you're supposed to do that, right? In fact, when we go into the book of Judges, that's what Boaz ended up doing, right? For I forgot Naomi's husband's name, but basically that was the case there, right? That the next of kin would do the part of a kinsman. And so that's in the law. Now keep in mind, at this point we haven't even reached the time of Moses, right? But this goes to show you that once again they had the laws, and it was passed down orally. It was really just codified, and officialized, you could say, during the time of Moses, but it doesn't mean it didn't exist prior. So he tells Onan, go, you got to raise up seed to your brother, right? You got to sleep with her, basically take her as your wife now, and impregnate her. And that seed would basically carry on the line of your brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, because it wouldn't technically be through, even though it's his seed, he would carry the name of Onan's brother and continue that line. And Onan didn't want that. So, as it says, and it came to pass when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground. Today you call it pulling out. So he pulled out instead of finishing in her. And so he, to put it explicitly, busted or nutted on the floor, or just not inside her, lest that he should give seed to his brother. So he broke the law in doing that, right? He didn't do what he was supposed to do. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. So Judah basically now in his mind was, maybe he's thinking something might be going on with this woman here, because both of my sons that have taken her to wife have died, and I don't want that to happen to my last born. So he just told Tamar this, but he likely didn't have intentions of doing that, of actually giving her his youngest son when he was of age to marry. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted. So when he mourned for her, and then eventually when that was over, and went up onto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garment from off her. So there were certain garments that widows could wear, and you would know, right? Same for the virgins. Certain garments they would wear, and you would know she was a virgin. So she took those garments off, the widow garments, and covered her with a veil, so her face was not seen, and wrapped herself and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath, so by the entrance. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. So she saw, like, okay, we made an agreement. You said that I should go and wait, and when he was of age, you would allow me to marry him. And he's of age now, but Judah hasn't said anything or brought him to her. So she says, okay. So she goes there at the entrance, and when Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot because she had covered her face. So he didn't perceive that that was actually Tamar. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, come, let me come in unto thee. So basically, let me pop. Let me get some services. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? So basically, she was charging him, what's going to be the price? What you going to pay? It ain't for free. You're going to need to pay for it. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? So he's like, all right, I'll send you one of the baby goats as payment. And she said, well, it's not with you right now, so I need a pledge. A pledge is like a security, a deposit, something that can assure that, okay, you are going to do this. For example, you go into the library, you give them your ID card. They know you need your ID, so they know that you're going to, when you're leaving, you have to come back to them, right, to get your ID. So in this case, the pledge was like similar. And he said, and so it was like when he would send the goat, then he would get whatever item he gave her as an exchange back. And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet, which is the ring, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. So he went and popped, he got up in that, and she eventually got pregnant. And she arose and went away, and she laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. So she basically did this, right? Went and acted like normal, put her widow's garment back on her, back in her father's house. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not, because remember, he met her by the entrance of Timnath. So he ended up dealing with her. She left. So later on, when he sends the kid, the friend that he sends the goat by comes and can't find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the way? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. So, if there was a harlot, they would know, right? Because she would be known in the city. But Tamar wasn't an actual harlot. She was just dressed that way. And that's what got Judah thinking she was a harlot. So when his friend comes to ask, they're like, What are you talking about? There ain't no harlot here. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. So before anybody starts to talk to bring any shame upon us, it's fine. She can just keep that instead, because it's not like I didn't keep my word. I did send the kid, but we just couldn't find her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also behold, she is with child by whoredom. So she's supposed to be a widow. How is she pregnant? She went and played the whore, and now she has a baby. And Judah said, Bring her forth and let her be burnt. And when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, that is to Judah, saying, By the man whose these are, am I with child. So the husband of this, the father of this baby, is the one whose these items are, who they belong to. And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet and the bracelet and the staff. So things just got spicy. And Judah acknowledged them. So he recognized, oh, shoot, and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more. So he pieced two and two together and realized, damn, that so-called harlot that I thought it was really her, because that's who he gave his items to. And he basically understood why she ended up doing that, because he broke his word and didn't give her his son that he said he would give her. But long story short, he had already popped her, and as it says, he knew her again no more, so he didn't sleep with her again. And it came to pass in the time of her travail, so when she was going into labor, that behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. So during her birth, based on how the babies were moving, it looked like this one was going to come out first because his hand popped out. And so she bound a red thread to it, so that depending on, when he comes out, they can tell, okay, this was the one who came out first because we saw his hand. And then we tied this thing to it. So we know he's the firstborn. And it came to pass as he drew back his hand, so his hand went back in, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, What? How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was Perez, which means breach. But she was shocked because she expected that the one who had the ribbon on his hand to come out first, because he would be at the entrance since his hand came out first. But somehow the other one ends up coming out first. And that's why she said this breach, because he, quote unquote, opened the matrix, which was being the first one to come out of the mother. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was Zara, which I believe means scarlet, or let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, rising, okay. Cool. And that brings us to the end of the book of Genesis, the 38th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.